So hi, you're right, it's Matthew from Our Mothers, and I'm joined this morning with Alfie Moore. This is the closest I've got to a real police officer and not being in trouble. Thanks for giving up your time this morning, and I'd just like to start in, where did your journey into comedy begin?
My journey into comedy, I entered a competition. I went to a comedy club for the first time with my wife in 2007, a local comedy club in Scunthorpe, and I liked it. So I entered a competition. So my first gig was a 10-minute spot in a comp.
I've met a lot of comedians over my experience in comedy. Who have you met and been most starstruck by?
Probably mine. I was in the Comedy Store in London and did a trial spot at the Comedy Store, and it was like, I mean, if you ever get a chance to play that place, it's the best comedy club in the world. It's like John Bishop was comparing. It's like, you know, all the acts were like that, and I came off, and in the green room somebody offered me a chip, and I looked up and it was Eddie Izzard had popped in. Who
would you say is an upcoming act for 2012, someone who's not going to be featured on TV?
Okay, well, I'm on the bill with Rich Wall on Sunday, and I think he's a very promising young man. Reminds me a lot of a young Woody Allen. I think he's got a big future.
Will you be doing anything at Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year?
I will be going to Edinburgh this year. I wrote a show last year called I Predict a Riot. I actually wrote it before there was a riot. But I'm taking that show back this year.
Who's your comedy inspiration?
Well, I think that there's a lot of good comedians about. The ones I particularly like at the moment, I used to like Les Dawson quite a lot. It was no longer with us. I like Lee Mack.
Yeah.
I think he's a nice, good all-rounder, very personable, good writer, good performer, good all-rounder. So he's a bit of an inspiration.
What does 2012 hold for Alfie Moore?
2012, well, I'm hoping it's a big year for me. I've taken a career break from the police. I'm going to take some time away from the police. I've signed with Phil McIntyre, and they're a very well-respected management agency. And I'm having a spring tour. They're taking me on a spring tour in April and May, and to the Edinburgh Festival in August. So I'm hoping that actually I get noticed a little bit this year, hopefully.
Excellent. Yeah. What advice do you have for new acts?
The advice for new acts, I would say, is it's a difficult one for new acts because it takes a while to find your voice, doesn't it? So that. I wouldn't say be in a rush to find your voice. Just try and find what's funny, and the audience will tell you what's funny. That's the main thing I'd say. You see a lot of acts, and to me, that they're trying too hard to be something. Be funny, and then you'll grow into whatever it is you are.
What's the strangest place that comedy's led you?
Well, it's a good question, really. I mean, you get to all sorts of places. I can remember playing, I won't say which one, but a cellar of a pub in Manchester with damp dripping down the walls to a room full of a boisterous sort of skinheaded, tattooed room. And I can remember walking at the compere saying, "Don't tell them you're a cop. Don't tell them." and I wondered if I was going to get out of that one in one piece. But yeah, that was about the strange but lovely people.
Would you consider yourself a natural born performer?
Yeah, I'm probably a natural born performer. I've got no performance background, but I've always been a show-off. And I think a lot of comedians are show-offs, and they were the kids at school that were always in trouble, and maybe they were the ones that were always showing off when Mum had a friend round.
Do you still get nervous on stage?
Nervous? Not usually. If it's a really big gig or an important gig, I would say yes.
Do you have any comedy warm-ups or cool-downs?
Comedy warm-ups? No, I think what I do is try and get my first line in my head. I think a tip I would give that works for me is to get the first line in your head, because it's easy to walk that walk up while the audience is clapping up to the microphone, then walk up and you're blank because you've not prepared your first line. So that's what I would say.
What do your friends and your partner think about you doing stand-up comedy?
My wife, she's a very patient lady, because of course comedians try their jokes out on their partners first, and so sometimes I'll go up like a little child and say, let me tell you this, is this funny? And she'll say, oh, not again. I've got to wash the pots. Leave me alone. You know.
Okay, well, it's Matthew Fong from Our Mothers. I've been joined with Alfie Moore. Thanks very much for having me this morning.
Pleasure, mate. Nice to
Great
meet
meeting you. Okay, thanks very much.
Cheers.
Okay.
Bye bye.